I'm into reality, not left or right, but right and wrong. Thank you for joining us. If you're a new listener, I'm Alex Jones, here every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central, 5 to 7 Eastern, 2 to 4 Pacific, 3 to 5 Mountain. And I'm also live weekdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. The websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. The federal government has changed its killing of bin Laden story again in a big way. Aaron Dykes will be in here with us in the last segment of the next hour. We're going to open the phones up for the first 45 minutes of the next hour, second hour, on any issue you wish to raise. The toll-free number to join us is 877-789-ALEX. That's 877-789-ALEX or 877-789-2539. And I'd love to hear from you, get you up and on the air on any subject. We don't really screen your phone calls, but please have a phone line that sounds decent. In fact, I'll just tell my folks answering the phones, if it's unintelligible, we can't have them on. Okay, over the years, we've not screened calls, but more and more, at least on the quality end, we've got to discount people that are calling on bad Skype. But I'm digressing. Why did I start getting into this whole up to 20 million Americans overcharged by AT&T? NBC News was reporting, the Daily Mail, AP, you name it, and they had their own engineers look at it and indeed found they were doing it. Because AT&T and others lobby the federal government and control the regulators, just like Monsanto does with their GMO. And so they basically, if they're even given a fine for this, it will be a very small portion of their profits. And by the way, I have to correct something, and normally when I'm wrong, it's that it's worse than I said. And I went from memory, but something in my little brain said that's not exactly right. From the last time I covered this a month or so ago, we pulled up Bloomberg with links to the federal filings. Let's put it up on screen. It was $378 billion and change. Banks financing Mexico gangs admitted in Wells Fargo deal. And let's scroll down because I know it was, there it is, $378.4 billion. So it was $2.4 billion more than I said. I have put out disinformation on the air. It was billions worse than I said. And again, they paid a $100 million, I'm having Freudian slips. They paid a $1 million fine. $1 million fine. $1 million on $378.4 billion. How about you launder $1,000 and then get caught? You're going to spend probably 10 years in a federal pen. But if you're Wells Fargo and their subsidiary, you're going to pay $1 million. So what do you think good old AT&T is going to pay even if they get in trouble? And it's not like you're just going to go somewhere else and get away from it, because it's a wall of corruption. All these major corporations do it. I mean, I catch companies constantly overbilling. It's never an underbill, have you noticed? And it's always a mistake. By PG&E admits to flaws in some smart meters. Oh, the meters where they can control what happens. PG&E issues apology for billing mistake. Of course they do. The point is, we've been sold that more technology somehow gives us better service and more control. But it's the opposite. It's the opposite. It's basically dehumanizing us. And I'm not anti-technology, but I think we should really be wary of it so that it isn't used to be a tool to dominate us. We need to ensure that the population understands how dangerous these technologies can be. Now, when I talk about the nature of humanity, when I talk about our history, when I talk about what our destiny could be, I took my wife last night to see a film, Cave of Forgotten Dreams, Werner Herzog's new film. My parents had seen it at South by Southwest and said it was very touching. And it is the oldest known human dwelling and oldest known art. People think 5,000-year-old Egyptian art is old. The newest art is 33,000 years old. And some of it, from carbon dating, as old as 40,000 years old. 33,000 years ago, the cave entrance caved in. It was not a cave where humans were living. It was a cave for rituals. They don't even get into this in the film, but I know the history of this stuff, where the shaman would go in and basically paint big, giant, fat animals on the wall, basically hoping for fertility, hoping for a good crop of Ice Age meat. The saber-toothed cats, the cave bears, the woolly mammoths, the mastodons, the giant hyena, the cave lions, just absolutely incredible. And I've seen a lot of Werner Herzog's films. I got contacted by Werner Herzog about 4 years ago. They said, would you be interested in being in a Herzog film? And I said, yeah, call me back if you're. They were just scoping around ideas, never heard back from him. But very powerful film. And I'm sitting there, and they're talking to the curator, the French curator of archaeology, the guy that controls it all in France, in this French/Germanic cave. And basically they said, coming up, we're going to talk to him about why they put these paintings on the walls, what it meant. And I told my wife, I said, you watch. It's going to be about Cro-Magnon wanting to communicate with humans in the future and basically wanting to leave their mark. And, of course, the discovery and development of art. I mean, it wasn't hard to predict that was coming up, and indeed, that's, I don't want to give the film away, but I'm giving it a big plug here, and it's multifaceted. But seeing that film brings up so many instincts, so many, you could call them ancestral memories. Why are children afraid? Have you ever noticed, this is such a complex issue, I shouldn't even get into it. This is just one window into it. Have you ever noticed your children in a mall aren't scared? Or your children, little children, aren't scared running around in a parking lot in traffic where they should be scared? Because they don't have instincts for the modern world. This is completely new. A total revolution of what it is to be human is happening. And we're being dehumanized because the world we've built has made us so soft. And that's an oversimplification. And the film doesn't even get into this, but that's the point I'm making. And children are scared at night, particularly, when they're going in and out of the house. Anybody who's had children notices this. I remember being a child, a pair of the parents I talked to, they get scared when you go in another part of the house. They want to come and check on you and know where you are. Well, do you know why that is? Because predators, up until just the last few hundred years, and still like this in Africa and other areas, predators that hunt humans, big cats, bears, things like that, they like to hunt in and around the cave or the village, the hut opening. And it's when a squirrel's coming out of his hole, that's when he's really looking around. He's not so scared once he's on the ground because he's got a lay of the land. They know that predators wait outside holes. That's an ancestral memory. Clan of the Cave Bear and stuff like that that I haven't even read. I've just read the synopsis. It's basically a fictionalized idea on this, but that's what instincts are. Why is a child who's never even seen Jaws or been told about sharks in the ocean, why do they get scared when they're out in the ocean? And say, a 3-year-old tell you, I'm worried about big fish. Why if there's only a couple great white deaths a year, and no more than 10 overall shark deaths a year, are grown men scared of the water? Because there is a archetypal ancestral instinct or coding. You can take a baby who's never seen a dog, 2 years old, and if they see a growling dog in a parking lot, they're going to be scared. Why? Because they're already programmed to know that that's something that's dangerous. And see, the globalists, they openly have studied all this. They understand what makes us tick, fear, sex drive. That's why they can sell beer by putting pretty women with it. My point is, to be a free person, you've got to be aware of your human coding that brought us to where we are today and realize how everything the system pushes is simply an understanding of what humans are, and then they never tell you that. What is sports? It's ritualized warfare combat, which is fine if it doesn't take the place of real combat warfare, whether it be informational or physical, to defend yourself. Then you've got to ask yourself, what team are you on? What country do you stand for? Is your country sovereign? We're talking about the nature of reality, and I'll get more to it later, but your calls are coming up. Okay, I haven't even scratched the surface of the news and information that I want to get to. And I want to just cram in 2 calls during this short segment, come back and take a bunch of them in the next segment. We're all 12 calls we've got online right now. Howard to Brian, we're going to get to all of you. Howard in Connecticut, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, how are you today?
I am so filled with information and news I can hardly talk.
It's unbelievable, it really is. You know, I woke up about in 2007. I saw Aaron Russo's film, and I've been, you know, trying to spread the word here pretty much as well. You know, all this tyranny going on with the FDA, Taylor being the head of the FDA for Monsanto use. That's what really sparked my call. I'm at working with We Are Change Connecticut here. I'm also a longtime listener and, of course, a member of the Prison Planet TV. And everybody should do things. Freethinkradio.com, I'm doing an hour show now. I'm going to be getting on there. Everybody should be trying to do these things, setting up ways to
everyone should be doing a radio blog. Everyone should be doing YouTube. I'm telling you, YouTube's where the fight's at. Everybody should be trying to get on local radio. Everybody should start a neighborhood newsletter. Everybody should go to at least 1 demonstration a month. Everybody should be researching and getting more knowledge.
Exactly, and in October, I was on the radio at WAPJ Radio, which is 105.1 in Torrington, Connecticut, where I live. And the radio, actually, I was talking about Monsanto, about the tyranny, and literally the radio manager came in the middle of the thing and did the silent cut, like you can't talk about this. And when we went to break, ironically, they're talking about autism. They had an Autism Speaks commercial running. And they're telling me I can't talk about Monsanto and vaccines and all this stuff that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many people in America, Howard, and I appreciate your call, great points, think that by cowering down and being afraid of all these powerful people that somehow they're going to get ahead. All you're going to do is destroy your children's future and your future. And that's what I meant to get into earlier about the nature of being a human is about courage and knowing what our ancestors went through to take us to this place. And understanding that we as individuals are individualistic, but there is a larger collective within the human species, and that we individually will die. You should not have fear of individual death. You should have fear of the species being damaged, the species being twisted, because it makes us more manageable for the globalist. Okay, I do not fear death. I fear my great-great-great-great-grandchildren not being, you know, literally living on a Mars base and living to be 500 years old and unlocking the secrets of the universe. See, now I'm going to start getting into it. It's just it's so huge to even grasp it. And people say, that's kooky stuff, wanting to go to space. Well, people of 500 years ago just wanted to, you know, invent electricity, and it took them 300 years to do it. Let's just go ahead and talk to, or discover electricity. Let's talk to Mike in Wisconsin. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, what's going on?
Worldwide transmission, Mike, hit us.
Well, pretty much I wanted to ask you a question first real quick about Jesse Ventura. And what I wanted to know is, how do you feel about him changing his perspective about the 9/11 attacks and his weapon choice? Because when he had him on the show last week or whenever that was, he was talking about that lady's book she wrote about the...
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. I know those buildings did not fall from fire, and that's clear. And they did explode in a very bizarre way, Tower 1 and 2. 7 fell from what is a classical controlled demolition with the crimp and the free fall. And I have no doubt that the Pentagon has a lot of really wild weapons. I just don't go places. I can't prove one way or the other. But Jesse Ventura is welcome to his opinions.
All right. I mean, because personally I haven't heard you really talk much about that, and I just wondered how you felt about it. And then secondly, I have an example of, I don't really know what you want to call it, but I'll give you the scenario. I'm an NBA fan.
Okay, you're a fan. Go ahead.
I'm an NBA fan of the local team here, and pretty much during the national anthem, I was approached by some people in the crowd that actually wanted me to take my hat off during the national anthem, and I was just wondering, like, how do you react to something like that?
All right, I'll comment on the other side. Stay with us.